Ly Tu Diem. Hello everyone. After a major incident shook their world, CEO Toan walked away, leaving Tu Diem alone in the storm. The weight of silence, the piercing gaze of Toan's mother, and the shadow of doubt all fell upon her fragile heart. Now, without the man she loves standing beside her, Tu Diem must face the cruelest test of all, to defend their love against the disapproval of a mother's power and pride. Will her voice, trembling yet filled with sincerity, be strong enough to protect what she holds most dear, or will fate tear her away from the only happiness she has ever known? The heavy silence of the house pressed down on Tu Diem's heart. Toan had just left for an important business trip, his last glance filled with unspoken promises and quiet concern. For the first time, she was left completely alone with the one person she feared most, his mother. The woman whose eyes carried not only judgment, but also the unyielding power of family pride and wealth. Tu Diem sat by the window, her hands trembling as she held a warm cup of tea. The world outside looked calm, birds fluttering over the garden, the soft wind brushing against the curtains, but inside, her chest was a storm. She had promised Toan she would stay, she would wait, she would be strong. Yet now, without his presence, every moment felt like a test of her courage. When the sound of footsteps echoed through the hall, Tu Diem's heart skipped. His mother entered, her figure elegant but sharp like a blade. "So," she began, her voice firm, "you think love alone is enough to stand beside my son?" The words cut deep, but Tu Diem lifted her gaze. Fear shimmered in her eyes, yet beneath it was a quiet flame that Toan himself had once lit. She remembered his words, "Don't let anyone decide your worth. Not even my mother. I chose you." Gathering her strength, Tu Diem replied softly, yet with determination, "I may not have riches, I may not have power, but I have a heart that truly loves him. And that is something no one can take away from me." The room was still. For a moment, even the ticking of the clock seemed to pause. Toan's mother studied her, as if searching for weakness, waiting for her to break. But Tu Diem did not look away. This time, she stood firm, not just for herself, but for the love she carried. Outside, the sun began to pierce through the clouds, casting light into the room. It was as if fate itself was watching this battle of hearts unfold. The question remained, would Tu Diem's courage soften the mother's heart, or would it only invite harsher storms ahead? Tu Diem's words lingered in the air, fragile yet unshakable. Toan's mother crossed her arms, her eyes narrowing, as if measuring the strength of this young woman who dared to challenge her authority. "You speak of love as if it can feed him, protect him, or secure his future," the older woman said coldly. "Do you know the weight my son carries? The enemies he faces? A heart alone cannot shield him from the world." Tu Diem felt her chest tighten. She wanted to answer, yet she also knew the truth in those words. Toan was a man of power, always surrounded by risks. But she had seen him vulnerable, broken, almost lost. She had held his hand when no one else was there. Wasn't that worth something? Taking a slow breath, Tu Diem looked directly into his mother's eyes. "I know I cannot fight his battles, but I can stand with him when the world turns against him. I can give him strength when his heart grows weary. Isn't that what love is meant to do?" For a fleeting moment, the mother's expression softened, her gaze flickering with something unreadable. But just as quickly, she masked it with coldness. "Strong words. But words are wind. Let us see how long your love survives when tested." Tu Diem bowed her head slightly, not in defeat, but in respect. "Test me, then I am not afraid." That night, when the house grew quiet, Tu Diem lay awake in her room. She replayed every word in her mind, the weight of the confrontation pressing down on her chest. Yet, amid the fear, there was also a flicker of pride. For the first time, she had spoken not as a frightened girl, but as the woman who truly loved Toan. Somewhere far away, Toan sat alone in his hotel room, staring at the city lights. He felt the distance like a wound, but he trusted her. He whispered into the night, as if she could hear him. "Be strong, Diem, I will come back to you." And so, the days stretched ahead. With Toan gone, Tu Diem faced the silent battlefield of the household, every glance and every word from his mother, a test of her spirit. Yet she knew this was no longer just about waiting for him. This was about proving that her love could withstand even the fiercest storm. The following morning, Tu Diem rose before dawn. The house was quiet, wrapped in the stillness of early light. She walked into the garden, where dew clung to the roses, and let the cool air steady her heart. Each breath reminded her that she was still standing, still fighting, even when the odds were against her. But as the day unfolded, Toan's mother began her subtle trials. At breakfast, she spoke sharply about family expectations, about traditions, about the kind of woman worthy of standing beside her son. Every word was like a blade, polished and deliberate. The servants exchanged glances, sensing the invisible storm at the table. Tu Diem listened silently, her hands steady as she placed food into bowls. Though the sting of those words pricked her soul, she reminded herself of Toan's trust. "I cannot break now," she told herself. "If I fall, everything we've fought for will collapse." Later, Toan's mother handed her a list of household duties. "If you are to be here, you should learn what it means to manage a home," she said flatly. "We'll see if you are capable of even this." It was more than just chores. It was a challenge wrapped in formality. Tu Diem accepted the list with a quiet nod. She worked tirelessly from morning until dusk preparing meals, arranging flowers, ensuring the smallest details were flawless. Her hands grew sore, but she carried each task with grace. By evening, Toan's mother inspected everything with her sharp eyes. Though she found no fault, she did not offer praise. Instead, she merely said, "Not bad for someone like you." Tu Diem bowed her head respectfully, hiding the faint smile that touched her lips. Not bad was not defeat. It was proof that she had endured the first test. That night, as she sat by the window, the moonlight falling softly on her face, she whispered into the quiet, "Toan, I will not let you down. Even if your mother tests me 100 times, my heart will not waver." Far away, Toan received her message on his phone. It was simple, only a few words. "I'm still here. I'll wait for you." And for the first time in days, he smiled. Days turned into weeks, and with each passing morning, Tu Diem faced a new trial. Some were small endless tasks designed to test her patience. Others cut deeper whispers of doubt planted in her ears by Toan's mother. One afternoon, as Tu Diem finished arranging the living room, a sharp voice called from the doorway. "Diem, come here." She turned to see Toan's mother, seated gracefully, holding a folder in her lap. "Do you know who these are?" she asked, flipping the pages. Photographs slid into view, images of elegant women, poised and accomplished, all potential candidates for Toan's hand. Tu Diem's heart tightened, but she kept her face calm. "These women come from families of influence," his mother continued, her tone smooth but merciless. "They can support Toan in ways you never can. Marrying into such power ensures his safety, his future. Tell me, Diem, do you truly believe you belong in his world?" For a moment, silence stretched. The weight of those pictures pressed heavily on Tu Diem's chest. Doubt clawed at her, whispering cruel thoughts. Yet, she remembered Toan's eyes, the way he held her when she was at her weakest. That memory steadied her trembling hands. She lifted her chin. "Maybe I don't have power. Maybe I don't have wealth, but I have something none of them can give him: my soul, my loyalty, my love, and I would rather face 100 storms with him than watch him walk through life, empty-hearted." The older woman's lips curved into the faintest trace of a smirk, though her eyes remained unreadable. "We shall see how long your courage lasts." She closed the folder and stood, her elegant figure disappearing into the hall. Alone again, Tu Diem's composure cracked. Tears burned in her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She pressed a hand to her heart and whispered to herself, "Hold on, Diem, for him, for the love you believe in." Far away, Toan finished his meeting in a foreign city. Exhausted, he stepped outside into the cool night air. For reasons he could not explain, his heart felt restless. He dialed her number, listening as it rang, longing to hear her voice. When Tu Diem answered, her voice was soft but steady. "I'm fine, Toan, don't worry, just come back soon." He closed his eyes, the ache in his chest both painful and tender. "She's fighting alone," he thought. "But when I return, I will never let her fight without me again." Life often places us in situations where our hearts are tested not only by the obstacles of the world, but also by the people closest to us. The story of Tu Diem reminds us that love is not simply about emotions or promises whispered in moments of peace. True love is proven in times of trial, when courage is required and faith is challenged. When CEO Toan left, Tu Diem was forced to stand alone against his mother's doubts, expectations, and the invisible weight of social status. She could have given up, surrendered to fear, and accepted that she did not belong. Yet she chose to stay. She endured sleepless nights, harsh words, and endless tests, not because it was easy, but because her heart was strong enough to fight for the one she loved. From her journey, we learn that perseverance is a form of love in itself. It teaches us that loyalty, patience, and inner strength can overcome the most intimidating obstacles. Wealth, power, or beauty may fade, but a steadfast heart holds more value than all of them combined. This lesson extends beyond romance. In life, whether in family, friendship, or personal dreams, we will encounter resistance and doubt. The important question is not whether others believe in us, but whether we believe enough in ourselves, and in what we fight for to endure until the end. Tu Diem's story shows that true strength is quiet but unyielding. It is the ability to face storms with dignity, to keep faith when everything seems against us, and to prove through action that love is worth protecting. In the end, the greatest victories are not won by force or wealth, but by the courage to hold on when letting go seems easier. And sometimes, that courage is enough to change even the hardest of hearts. Love is never without struggle. Yet struggle does not mean defeat. Every hardship becomes a chance to prove the depth of our devotion. Tu Diem's silent battle with Toan's mother is a reminder that love is not about winning approval. It is about staying true to the heart, even when the world turns against you. Her courage teaches us that we cannot always choose the challenges placed before us, but we can choose how to face them. With patience, humility, and unwavering faith, even the most fragile person can become unbreakable.